So good morning, everyone. So I think everybody except for one person has officially arrived. We all made it, which is in itself, I think, the biggest victory of this brain hack. So give yourselves a round of applause. So on behalf of the organizing committee, who I'll introduce and you'll meet during the course of this short launch presentation, it's really exciting to welcome you to what we think is a landmark event in terms of capacity buildings and neuroscience, but also brain hack that we'll learn and be more excited about as the next 3 days progress. So welcome again, everyone. We hope that this is going to be an important stepping stone in your future careers, especially for the early career academics and students that are joining us today. So before I get into the maybe more interesting, less depending on your perspective, part of this launch talk, I thought I would take an egocentric perspective. So I study self-awareness over the life course in clinical and healthy populations, and perspective taking is a big part of what I'm interested in terms of self-other awareness. So yes, I'm going to assume the egocentric perspective and launch this South African brain hack by speaking about myself a little and the story and the story behind how we got here. But as I'm trying to narrate the story a little bit, also think about your own stories and how you kind of connect to it, and think about the narrative that you're developing in terms of your career progression and where you see yourself and your contribution to science and society moving forward. So in organizing this brain hack, I went back to my original PhD applications. So I did a split site PhD between UCT in King's College London, and for those of you that have done international PhDs, it's extremely expensive, and so funding it is very difficult. So I first started with a Commonwealth scholarship, and then I was funded by the Oppenheimer Foundation, and I used the same badly written proposal that I've been brave enough to show. So you can see some of the mistakes there in terms of how we used to. This wasn't that long ago, but we used to speak about first and third world. Now we've moved beyond that, and we speak about global south and global north, or weird science or majority world. But our terminology has really changed drastically in the way we actually look at these different perspectives. But also bridging the gap. Is there a gap to bridge? And that's something I'm posing to the audience. Is there a gap to bridge, or are we just sharing knowledge differently? So this is the way I thought about it back then, and the way I think about it now has changed. But fundamentally, it was the same goal, to really bring about capacity building in the neuroimaging sciences. But at the same time, beyond my story, there was a lot happening, which we'll speak about and hear about through Nesta Menkes, that's presenting directly after me. Who was really the leading pioneer in imaging sciences, not just in South Africa, but in Africa. So beyond fusion, especially when I came back to South Africa, and I was very ready to share my newly acquired neuroimaging knowledge, there was very little actually happening in Johannesburg and Wits, and it was very sad. There was no dedicated research center. We worked hard to build relationships with Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital. Maybe Whitney will tell you a little bit more about that. But it was really an upward struggle in terms of making connections. So we were really lucky to receive funding from the Center of Excellence in Human Development and the Johannesburg Institute for Advanced Studies. So it was a collaboration between Wits and the University of Johannesburg in our Brain Matter seminar series that we did in collaboration with Tanya Kelly and Kulani Koza. And together, we ran a very successful seminar series in 2017, and then it kind of just continued organically. And Samantha Brooks, Oliver Turnbull, and Charlotte Craig, who's not here today, but Daniel Hewitt is here from the team, all were part of the Brain Matter seminar series. And it gradually kind of started building momentum until 2019, where together with Kate Cockcroft, I'm actually going to ask everyone to wave so we can see. So together with Kate's there, Sam's there, Danielle, Oliver, who else have we mentioned? Oliver's here. We launched our neuroscience research laboratory in actually the humanities, which is quite unique. Most neuroscience labs, at least in South Africa, from my egocentric perspective in Africa, are more medically driven. They're around clinical research, they're in the medical faculties or in biology. So we think having a neuroscience, a cognitive neuroscience, experimentally driven lab, and by cognitive I include affective and social neuroscience, is quite unique because we offer a social perspective. We offer a different kind of perspective in the experimental and the neuroimaging work that we run. And so the lab is ongoing, but then another landmark happened in 2023. But before that, during my time in London, I met Stephanie Forkel, who's right here. During my time at King's, we worked together in the same lab. She was a postdoc while I was doing my PhD, and I knew nothing, and I still don't know very much, but she at least helped me open a terminal and do some basic coding and just opened my mind. She's an excellent teacher. Hopefully many of you will have a chance to learn this stuff. Opened my mind to the imaging sciences. And when I came back to South Africa, I don't know if you can see it, but I've shown some of our private WhatsApp messages. So it was always subtly pushing me towards things like, have you heard about brain hack? Oh, we don't have MRI scans. Can we deal with EEG? Maybe, let's talk about it. And this conversation is actually with Michelle about, have you heard about the Organization for Human Brain Mapping? Would you like to organize a meeting? We'll talk about that as well. So she's always been kind of pushing steadily from the side. And then in December 2022, I was in Mexico, a part of the Global Scholars CFAR program. We have Julian, I'm mixing your name up, but Guillaume Dumas and Benjamin Rossman, that are also global scholars with me in the program. We were organizing, not with Guillaume and Benji, but with other global scholars. We were organizing a consciousness winter school. And we were in the middle of organizing this winter school. Victoria Williams was actually there during that winter school, and it was a lot of organizational work. And during this winter school, guess who emails me? Michelle, that's sitting right next to Steph, that I'd learned that I'd met and learned a little bit from during my time in London. And he was very kind and invited me to come to Bordeaux to not just present a talk, but to organize a brain hack while I was organizing a winter school. You can imagine the overwhelming feelings. And so instead of sending a nice reply to say, I'll think about it, I just ignored him for a month and a half. So this is my public apology for not getting back to you sooner. I was, between my personal life situation and knowing what entails, and Alina now know what it entails, organizing this, I just ignored it and took a December break. But eventually we got back to him, and I was lucky enough that it wasn't just me. Alina was also invited to come to Bordeaux, and we experienced what a brain hack is. We built our vision around what we already knew and what could be done. And that's actually why we're sitting here today. And I've told many people that this is organizing this feels like organizing a wedding. A lot of you I don't know too well, but I respect. And now I think we started a friendship. Some of you I really love. And I've known you for a long time, and we're academic friends, but we also have known each other for sometimes over a decade. But this academic union doesn't just involve me and Alina. We have an open relationship. So Michelle and Benji are also a part of this union, and we're very inclusive. So Amelia from Jais and Lorato from Wits, there's Lorato sitting at the back, are a part of our bond. and it actually extends beyond us, because it increases to include all of you. So we're really excited to have such global representation. As you can tell, we're focusing in on Africa. So our highest representation is in Africa, as it should be, but not just in Johannesburg. And that was some really important funding feedback that we got as well, that this kind of initiative should not be Wit-centric. So it's not Wit-centric. We're working in collaboration with UJ. It's not institution specific. It's also not area specific. So we're really excited to have colleagues like Gasha, who I trained with as a clinical neuropsychologist back in 2009. We're exposing our age here together with many other colleagues, including Rachel from the Neuroscience Institute and Francis and Ernesta and members from Gasha's team. There needs to be a lot more collaboration, I think, between Wits and UCT especially, but we also have Sahba from Rhodes. So we're really excited to have representation from across South Africa, but not just South Africa. We also have representation from across Africa. So we have colleagues from Rwanda, from Kenya, nice group from Kenya, and then from across the world. Does somebody want to shout out their country? What? That's not a, oh, I was going to say something. I'm like, Wales, I'm sorry, Wales. England, the United Kingdom.
Sardinia.
That's also another country. You see, we're no Sardinia, Italy, Quebec. We're speaking about equity. Quebec, Canada. Who else do we have? I think there's Estonia here as well. Yeah, Estonia and the Ukraine. So it's really exciting to actually, as we've tried to build networks from Africa that really spread across the globe. And it's not just these networks. You're a part of this union with us. So, so I'm hoping during the course of the next 3 days, if you don't know each other, you will get to know each other and really form these relationships, these friendships, and these academic connections that are really needed. So We don't have participant lanyards, so we got some feedback yesterday that without lanyards, we're just going to be reintroducing each other. That's true, but we wanted to keep it a little bit more relaxed. But we have an outstanding Meet the Participants document that you will send. The organizing committee didn't fail you, I did, so you should be getting it tomorrow. So as you meet people, you'll also have something to go back to, contact details, something concrete. So you leave with not just friendships, but something concrete in terms of getting to know people beyond this. And we're really grateful that our union in this collaboration has involved so many organizations and funders. And if it's okay, I'm going to mention all of them by name. So, of course, Wits University, and specifically the School of Human Community Development, where our neuroscience lab is based. Rail Laboratories, and Benjamin Roskin's going to tell you a little bit more about Rail in Mind tomorrow. And then again, the Canadian Institutes for Advanced Research, where Guillaume and Benji and I are global scholars. They call it CFAR, actually. And it's not just an acronym because it's there to see far. Yeah. And that's actually what we're aiming towards, is that together we'll be able to see far and really move beyond our own silos, our own institutional kind of networks, and see far towards what we can build together. And then, of course, we have a representative from the International Brain Research Organization, IBRO, and Alina was lucky enough to get a grant from IBRO to support this meeting. And it's a wonderful kind of collaborative group and initiative that we hope to work with IBRO more in the future. JICE, of course, has been a long-lasting partner, and the University of Johannesburg from the Brain Matter Seminar Series. And the previous director of the Neuroscience Alliance, that's actually a chapter of OHBM, was Michelle. And now it's Chris Bellon. Where's Chris? And I think Valentina Pasquale is this current secretary. Alice is there. I'm trying to do small introductions as we go. I hope it's been effective. And then I think what's really unique is beyond funders and institutional buy-in, we also have representative from industry. So where's Leo? So DTech is here. So DTech has trusted us enough to send a representative with equipment as a part of our hyperscanning project. Leo is actually also an academic in his own right, so he's here in a dual capacity. But we're really grateful for the support and for the trust of GTech, as well as Nature, and specifically the journal Communications Biology. Benjamin is here, and he's a senior editor in the Neuroscience division. He's already given a talk at Wits that we can share with you, but if you do have any questions in terms of publishing within Communications Biology, which is a high-impact publication, but also within the Nature portfolio, please just have a conversation with Benjamin. I'm sure he'll be really happy to speak to you. So beyond all of our funders and their union and the narrative, if we actually just ask the question that you're probably all wondering, what is a brain hack? Who's wondering that question? What is a brain hack and why are we here? What are the aims of this brain hack? So luckily, beyond my small launch talk, we're also going to have Daniel sitting in the room, speak a little bit more. We're going to have a lot of history today. I really like it. About the history of brain hack and the many different formats that it can take. But in terms of our aims, number one, as I've already kind of mentioned, is really building a network. We're all interested in brain networks, but the brain is within a body, and that's why embodiment is important. And in my perspective, again, human connections are that much more important. So we're going to be working with data around brain connections, but we're here to really build human connections. And with that, to create a common global vision. So some of you might know, I actually now live in Sardinia, Italy. And so it seems a little bit weird, why are you hosting a South African brain hack when you live in Italy? And this was a really difficult decision for about 2 years because I'm South African and I've dedicated like arguably 14 years of my life towards building this kind of vision. And so when, for those of you that have ever left South Africa, you always struggle with the discourse. You're like, is this brain drain? Am I abandoning my lab? And it's a difficult kind of decision to think about, but it's also challenged me to also think beyond country-specific goals and to really have a global vision and to realize we're part of a global enterprise, regardless where we live. We're interconnected in the kind of work that we do. And even within high-income countries, there's low-resource settings. Johannesburg is a high-income country in many ways and a low-resource setting in others. So by working in different areas, including islands, you learn about these shared realities and how we can actually work together more than we think. And so this leads to the concrete aim of this brain hack, which is really building local neuroimaging capacity. And I think it's important to realize how loaded the term capacity building is, because sometimes it implies that there's those without capacity. And that's something that we want to move away from, that we might, in some cases, not have some of the neuroimaging capacity, but we have other sources of knowledge that are equally important that we need to share. So this moves towards the importance of equitable neuroscience and working within an equitable neuroscience framework, which I'll present to you about just now. But thinking about equity, thinking about building networks, this is an interdisciplinary space. We have geographical diversity, we have gender diversity, we have racial diversity, we have discipline diversity, and that diversity, I think, enhances the quality of what we're doing. And we'll hear again a little bit more about what the the New Mind Institute is doing, but we've also been doing this with Rail Laboratories as a lab, working with machine learning and AI science in trying to improve our neuroscience methods. And lastly, hence the slogan for our brain hack, innovation from Africa for the world, is with the help of people like Jon and Devin. Who's Devin? Devin and Vicky and Leo. We're hoping to really try something new with the hyperscanning project on site with all of you here to really show that even in rural environments, I know it's rural itself doesn't feel too rural, but within rural parts or peri-rural parts of South Africa, we can still bring innovation in a creative, innovative work, not just for Africa, but for the rest of the world. And yes, I was a little bit worried. I was telling Alina yesterday, we've done so much practical organization. What about the scientific program? Like, are we ready? Are we in? But the fact that we're all here today is kind of the main goal. And that's the main goal that's being achieved. And everything else is a bonus. And it really depends on you and your engagement and your interests. So in terms of equitable neuroscience, just to push this point forward, because it came up in conversations again yesterday in dinner, that Africa is, again, the hotspot for many people. There's a lot of data mining happening. Everyone's interested in Africa and African populations, but people don't always approach it with the right intentions. With African PIs, you're a collaborator, but you're never a senior author, you're never the last author, you're always a middle author. And so because many of us suffer with imposter syndrome, we need to be very guarded about this kind of, that I'd like to call academic imperialism. People are talking about non-weird science, but it's mostly the weird scientists that are just using non-weird populations. So this is something to really engage with. We have, like I said, an international group. So I'm hoping we can have really honest conversations about what real equity, not just health equity, but equity within academia looks like. And so together with Rufus Akinyemi, who we were lucky enough to write an invited commentary for Nature Communications, it was supposed to just be on neuroscience in Africa, very general, but the pitch we decided to take was on equity, because I'm thinking about all of the challenges and all of the opportunities for growth, and we're always encouraged to focus on the positive. In doing that, we thought we really need to give a voice for this equitable framework. And I'm hoping that we can extend what we put together with all of you today and really think how we can move towards this real equity in neuroscience research. And so again, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? So the structure is fluid. This is what we've suggested. So in general, there's going to be 3 groups. There was going to be 4 with ethnias, but I don't think we'll have an ethnia team, but we will get ethnia training, which is exciting. So CEPA will still do an ethnia workshop, and I think we're going to try it out a little, but we're going to have 3 broad teams. So MRI, DTI, fMRI included, will be in this room whenever we have breakout hacking sessions. The hyperscanning room is, I got them right, is just across the hallway, and the EEG ERP room is just next door. And so we were hoping that people would have data. Not many people have data, but that's okay. I mean, it's also fine, like, not to have data. We have training data sets. And of course, something I think it's here is to just have a disclaimer about data. Data is confidential and protected. So just because you're working on a data set doesn't mean you have authorship rights. It's just there for people to learn from. You, of course, can build a collaboration and you can discuss co-authorships. And I really encourage people to have those discussions up front. But we're not here just to find a collaborator to do an analysis. We're here to really learn together and to really build local capacity in that way. So within these, and then of course this hyperscanning project, so Guillaume is going to give a proper pitch later, but for now, if you'd like, you can scan the QR code and just learn a little bit more and think about if you want to consent to participate in the hyperscanning project. After Ernesta's talk and a little bit of an introduction from Daniel, we're going to go around and do some introductions. We'll tell you more later, but also project pitches. So project pitches traditionally in BrainHack is a project that you have data on. So Kate and Daniela have been working hard, and they actually have EEG data and multilingual on a multilingualism project, and I think they're happy for people to learn about ERP analysis through their data, they're just to learn from it. But some of you, and I hope Rasha doesn't mind, like the sleep study, they were aiming for pilot data, but the pilot data didn't happen, and that's okay. I encourage everybody to still speak about their projects, tell us about what's happening. Maybe at a later stage, you can develop a relationship and think about how to develop capacity for your pitches then.
Yeah, so again, this is a bit of an experiment, so please forgive us if it doesn't work. It's completely organic. I think somebody, Francesca, I think maybe Francis, you had a question, I think, and I never got back to you. Can you move between groups? So yes, I'm like, it's a good question, but how many of you are wondering, can you move between groups? Yeah. So you can. I mean, it is useful to choose a group, and then, for example, within the MRI group, maybe you'll have other breakout groups, and you'll form one project. The powerful background. And then you'll form another project, but we're going to leave that to you. We're not going to micromanage it. We thought about micromanaging it, but if it's okay, we'll see how it develops. If you want us to come in and kind of assign these people, you can. But we thought it's better to just, you don't need slides, do you? It ruins the recording. We're hoping to share the recordings afterwards.
We thought it can be available.
So think about which groups. You've already kind of told us which groups you want to go into. So there's the MRI group here, hyperscanning across, and ERP EEG just next door. But yes, you can move between groups. And I think it's the next slide, but also a disclaimer, who's very intimidated by joining a data group? Beyond. So it is, they're not intimidated. So it's a very, I mean, if you watch Guillaume code, you'll all get intimidated, but I think it's a normal feeling, especially I had a chat with some of the students that are, in the first month of their PhDs. It's fine to feel afraid, but try to put yourself out there. I'll share a small little narrative. When I was at King's, I attended Steph and Michelle's DTI tractography workshop, and they actually forgot to include me on their mailing list, so I didn't get the pre-emails about, so it's okay, but I am going to tell, and the pre-emails about what to install and what to do, so I got there, nothing installed, nothing ready. Nothing ready, and I had no real data. I had 2 clinical scans that were unusable according to me. But it was fine. I got to play around with TrackViz in the end. I installed a few cool programs, and just hearing about the kind of work that they were doing kind of increased. It helps my knowledge curve. And so you probably won't finish an entire project while you're here, but that's okay. Just go and explore. If you don't have a specific project, alternate between groups. Feel free to go around. But if you can, especially to our students, engage as much as you can, especially in the early part of your career. Some of our attendees haven't even started their PhD, so this is a perfect opportunity to see what you're interested in. And then just a plea to, don't worry, we'll set it up for Anessa, to also our more established academics. It's easy to kind of spend time at dinners connecting to each other because you're also interested in each other's work and to make collaborations. But it's also really nice to try to focus on the early career academics and bring in the students into the conversations because you'll make connections beyond this as well. So if we can, just try to make it a more inclusive environment. But I think we've already been doing that already, but it's not bad to say again. So you don't have the QR codes, but just in terms of logistics. Firstly, the Kruger drives. Did everybody see the shared spreadsheet for the Kruger drives? All right. So this is at everybody's personal cost. If you'd like to go for a Kruger drive, we want to confirm the list today. So please just add your name, go see Mina, and make the payment directly, and the rest of us will enjoy time at the pool while you're away. Then the program, there are some adjustments. So Brain Hack, as far as I know, doesn't need to be as formal as we've made it, but we did try to make it a little bit formal for you. So we do have printed programs, but there's a few adjustments. So Daniel Morgani didn't arrive on time, so he's only arriving this afternoon. So his talk is going to be tomorrow at 9 a.m. And directly following me, we're going to hear from Ernesta. And after Ernesta, we are going to hear from Daniel. And then we're going to do some introductions and project pitches. We'll tell you about that now, but just think about your projects and what you want to introduce to the group. We'll have a small tea and coffee break, and then we're going to pass it over to Guillaume. And Guillaume is going to speak a little bit about his work, do a hyperscanning tutorial for us, and then do a proper pitch of the hyperscanning project that we're running during this brain hack. And then, yes, tomorrow, a slight shift. Instead of Guillaume, we're going to have Daniel. Okay. And then the last point is we're gonna have a, who's gonna guess it?
Group photo.
We're gonna have a proper group photo. For those of you that weren't in Joburg, that's all I was doing, was taking group photos. So we're gonna have a proper group photo. Thank you for Gasha who brought a good SLR camera. So Thursday afternoon should be a good time because I know 1 or 2 people are leaving on Friday and Daniel's arriving today. So let's try for Thursday afternoon. We don't know where yet, but probably after lunch. Everybody's gonna eat lunch. So directly after lunch, please don't run away. We'll try to get everyone together for a nice group photo. And then later on, we'll share with the group 2 QR codes. If you want to join a photo sharing group, you can just load your photos on. Everybody's been taking lots of photos, so you can load your photos and find the photos. If you don't want your photo taken, please just let us know. We assume consent, but it's totally fine not to have your photo taken, but just please let us know so we can make sure you're not in the photos, especially any of the shared photos. Chris, that's over there, also would like to take a little video, small snippets, and then edit it into a little brain hack video. But again, if you don't want to be in the video, I think specifically, is that okay, Chris? Let Chris know. Yeah. Let Chris know, just to make sure nobody is in a video unintentionally. And then finally, we all love WhatsApp groups, right? If you want to, Devin has also made a WhatsApp group for the meeting. You can join the WhatsApp group, and it's a way to share communication, but we'll also email you. And otherwise, just keep on hacking, keep on networking, and we're gonna just check in with you every day in terms of how things are going. And on Friday afternoon, we're gonna have a final session where people can feedback what they've done. And then we have a few points for group discussion in terms of next steps, and I will just say it now, it's something for everyone to think about, and a possible OHBM bid for Johannesburg, but it should be a collaborative initiative. It's something that we can speak about as a group if it's something we want to do, and yeah. Okay, so without further ado, sorry for the small power interruptions, but we got the message through, I think, and welcome again to Brain Hack. We're going to start the proper scientific kind of program now, and I'm going to pass it over to our co-organizer, Alina, to introduce the next speaker. Thank you.